The Awakening, December 21st, 2012. Today is August the 17th, 2014. There is so much misinformation about conscience awakening that I've been obsessed with chemtrails, geoengineering, moving clouds around, H.A.A.R.P. I would like to not only connect it to smart meter radiation, fracking, poisoning the water. I mentioned in my other videos that it's a global event to take over the water. Well, this is a formula for consciousness also, because you are water. If they control the world's water, they control the world's consciousness. And we have in this world engineers that run the planet. The movie The Matrix was extremely real. You either live in the dark matrix or you live in the light. Once you live in the light and you become a threat to the dark side, you are murdered, killed. There are so many that have died in the name of awakening. The masters have control of your body and your mind, especially our children. From the day of birth, you were given shots, immune shots. You have to understand, your life is upside down. We're living in the days of Noah. If you ever want to describe hell, we're living in it. Because everything that surrounds you is misinformation. It's a deception. It's a trick. Symbols, when God says, do not have engraved images. They're all around us. If this is not hell, I don't know what is. The only thing that could separate and become greater than hell is to be able to never be able to consciously connect to the higher powers of God. So I know that we're not in hell, but it's literally the earth has shifted. The consciousness of most people are asleep. And we're gravitating towards that higher consciousness where people are waking up. You have to understand something. Before December 21st, 2012, literally the entire world's population was asleep. And the masters of the universe had control. Now there were a few that were awakened. They were God's chosen. I feel like I've been awakened all my life. I was in denial. And I allowed, because it's a choice. Free will is very real. It's a choice to allow people to control you. And throughout my life, I have had nothing but an injection, a rape of people trying to control me. They surround you. They're placed in your life deliberately by the patterns because they know the bloodline, they know the calendar date, they know the alignment of your mind and the cross, and they know that you're ready to ascend. They know that you're ready to consciously awaken. And it has everything to do with the sun, the solar flares, the energy of the sun, the alignment of the constellations, the alignment of the galactic plane, the alignment of the earth and sun with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. So a lot of people will listen to what I'm saying as, well, he's not talking about Jesus, he's not talking about God. Oh yes, I am. The path to God and Jesus is a galactic alignment. The path to the stars is a portal to conscious, full awareness. And being completely engulfed by chemtrails was a deception. Now the chemtrails have many, many agendas that they're spraying upon humanity. Number one, it makes people stupid. But the main thing is they're blocking out the solar radiation. They're changing the solar radiation from UV to UVB. In other words, the natural light spectrum is not reaching the human consciousness. The radiation smart meters are the same thing. They're radiating you to where you cannot connect to human consciousness of the stars and the sun. Once again, I'm going to repeat that this is not paganism. This is godlike. This is the real meaning of the cross, the crucifixion. Because people who awaken consciously have to suffer. Literally, the entire world or the planet will turn against you. You'll lose all your friends, all your family, your mother. And it's biblical because it's written in the Bible. Read Luke chapter 21. It basically tells you when you're aligned with God and conscious. That's what happens. That's what happened to Jesus. You have to understand something. Jesus was a homeless man. He was running from the creed, the law. the Roman law to cut his head off because there was a myth of a Messiah, kind of like our end of the world. It was the opposite of reality. The Messiah wasn't a myth, it was reality. And he was born in a pure state. He was born outside of the control of the Roman Church. So he escaped. In other words, they didn't have a social security number or a birth certificate. And they didn't know who he was and what he was. He was just a non-existent human being. So he was able to be born in the purity without being tracked and controlled by the engineers of this planet. He was able to elevate through a higher consciousness because they didn't know of his existence until he was in his 30s. And that's what gave him the powers. A lot of people believe that he was born of the Virgin Mary and all these stories. Well, I don't really know, and I'm not going to stand here and say he was or he wasn't. People that have words that are concept of truth based on their perception of life, to me, are wandering generalities. So when you go to these religions and they say, this is the way it is, and this is what God told me, and he said to do this, and Moroni came and said this, and the Pope's sitting on the throne saying we all should do this, and these are not have anything to do with God. That's all it is, dictatorship. There's no difference between your president and politics, government, Federal Reserves, oil corporations raping the land. It's a dictatorship. It's a fictional reality because the land belongs to you. It doesn't belong to a one person or one company. Here, they created a fictional currency and they bought some land with the fictional currency. They created the currency. And if you don't see the concept of, you create the problem, you solve the problem with a fictional solution. They do this constantly to you in every facet of your life, and they promote that solution. So it's problem, reaction. They create all three of them. So once you create the problem and you own the medias, people react. Now there's a solution, and everybody's gathering in gangs and groups, kind of like religion, football teams. They use gangs and groups and nations and countries and states for you to gather. They consume you with possessions, temptations, things that go against God. And a lot of people are understanding what I'm trying to tell you. A lot of people are going, what is this guy talking about? Well, I'm speaking on a higher level of conscience today. I'm not trying to speak to the masses. I'm trying to speak to the people who are awakened. You'll truly understand what I'm trying to tell you. Problem, reaction, solution is in every facet of your life. The reaction is fear. And this is why people have to avoid fear. Because fear will always make you seek a group or a protection or a consumption or a possession. Once they create fear, you need a gun, and everybody goes out and buys guns. I believe in guns as a symbol of our freedom because God created us to be free. However, I don't think that we need to use the guns, and I believe that we should solve our problems with our conscience oneness, connection to oneness. So what's happening in the world is that there are a lot of deceivers, and there is a master-minded controllers. You can call them what they want, Freemasons. I mean, there's all kind of groups, societies, Bilderbergs, bankers. There's just names and names and names, but these people are shifting too. And I believe what's happening is they're spraying chemtrails upon you. Like I said, there's so many agendas. I mean, of course, they're poisoning you because you're water. And they're poisoning the water. They're taking control of the world's water. They're shifting the water on the atomic level, neutralizing it to where they can start using water as fuel. And of course, they're collecting all the water. They're taking it and they're storing it because water is the real energy of this planet, and the sun is the next energy. So the two things that they're doing is blocking out the sun, and they're poisoning the water. Now, who are you? You are stardust and water. So of course it affects you. That's what you are, stardust and water. You are the sun, you are the water. People have to understand that. They can classify you as evolution, humanity, you came from a monkey. This is all fictional fears. You can go and type in evolution, there'll be 1,000 videos to misinform you of who you truly are as a human being. You have nothing to do with being a monkey. These are all genetic manipulations. It's kind of like all dogs come from the wolf. There are God's original species, and God shows favoritism to these species. Right now we have wolves that are living in Russia where there was a nuclear bomb. Wolves are changing and adapting because they're God's original species. A genetically mutated species will probably not survive this collision between good and evil. We are evolving consciously. God has selected people to evolve consciously. People who have moved into the heart realm. When you talk about yourself, they like to hear self because they know that heart is connecting with heart. You people that live in the realm of the TV and the fictional reality, when people talk about themselves, you instantly feel fear, jealousy, rage, revenge. That's the programmed realm that you're living in. It's a sad place to live. The world is calling you to evolve to the next level, but you have not yet done that. It is my constellation alignment, awaken, and I believe that gang stalking and all the problems that are going on today, smart meters, gang stalking, fracking, all the things that people are really fighting for, they have a harmonic unity. They're united. This is all event to stop people from awakening consciously. This large population awakens consciously. They're going to have their godly tasks based on their constellation. Number one, they're going to unite. Number two, they're going to share their knowledge. And once they share their knowledge, they're going to spread that knowledge. And that's a threat to the new world order, the city or the Tower of Babel. If you look at your religions, the Vatican, the Mormonism, they're always having a Tower of Babel. And you have to understand something. God's destroying the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is just a symbol of men trying to control men. God's going to take away your control. They're losing their power. No matter what, they're going to lose their power. And they know this. That's why they're going underground. They're hiding. They're storing food. They know what's coming because they've been in Israel. They've been in Egypt. They've discovered all the ancient tablets and scriptures. And they know. That's why they told you that the end of the world was December 21st, 2012. They told you the opposite of reality. And that's why on television, it's always shoot, kill, fear, revenge, hate. And they're always trying to tell you what to eat, what to wear. A basic separation of the wandering generalities from self. Time to evolve to self into the heart. You're going to move from that lower chakra into the heart. Once you move into the heart, then you'll start awakening consciously, and all kind of fears will be released out of your body. And once these fears are released out of your body, you'll start to understand, once your fears are being released, they're going to see you as a fear monster, conspiracy, a kook, a quack, a crazy man. The same thing they saw Jesus as, and they'll scream, crucify you. Jesus is a symbol of an awakening and how to get to a higher conscience and to evolve to the light. That's what you're doing. You're a child of the light. You're evolving to the light. And chemtrails, the fracking, smart meters, the infrasonic and ultrasonic weapons that are on cell towers, digital satellites all over the planet. They're trying to stop people from evolving because they can't evolve. The dark side can't evolve. I'm going to say this again, and I want you to understand this. They can't evolve. They're trapped spirits. Your politics, your bankers, your oil tycoons, these are people that chose to stay on earth. They chose to hoard their knowledge. And yes, they're wiser than the average human. They're illuminous beings. Absolutely. They're fallen angels. You call them whatever they want. But they chose to stay on earth and be the ruler of the earth. And right now, we're living in the days of the Noah. And yes, Satan is the ruler of the lower conscience. But he's not the ruler of higher conscience. God's chosen to align themselves on the cross, to basically form a radio signal to God, higher conscience. The dark side has no control over that. Now, the dark side can come and kill them and stalk them and target them and harass them. They can do all these things to these people. But most of these higher conscience are going to see right through what's happening. They're going to escape that because their heart and they're focused on the light, and it's very difficult to deceive these people with higher. Very difficult. Now, chemtrails will block out the natural light of the sun. The sun is an energy. It is a vibrational Schumann resonance, a chymatical energy the awakening conscience need. They also need to be grounded to the earth, so driving cars and barefoot. So you'll see people that are awakened conscience, you'll see them moving away from money. There's a film on Netflix, Tiny Houses. These are people who are trying to move and separate themselves from the matrix. They don't really understand what they're doing completely, but they're being called to awaken and move. And you have to understand something. Everyone on the planet is going to make the shift eventually. But God has chosen people to move and shift first and to be the leaders and the teachers. The higher conscience leaders, they're not going to be the leaders of what you see as reality, your presidents, your bishops, your priests. your doctors. These are dictators. They're not leaders. The leaders are going to be like Jesus. They're going to be teachers. They will not take away your free will. They will not judge you. They will not throw you in prison. They won't have anything but the covenant of God. They will influence you to move towards the covenant of God and separate yourself from the fictional man laws, which are basically Satan's laws. It's the dark side's laws, water laws, straw man laws. It's the law that the man in the black robe sitting on the throne with a hammer of Osiris has, and he slams it down, and you have to board his ship with the gate, called the water law, maritime law. It's man's laws. That's all it is. Now, the Constitution was a divorce from the maritime law, closer to consciousness, because these men came out of wartime. War, suffering, delivers people to truth. Now, these men went through suffering, so they created a constitution. And the constitution is closer to consciousness, so we have to travel back to the constitution first, and then we're going to travel from the constitution back to an even higher consciousness and literally have no laws made by man. It'll be all covenant of God. Now, we're going there. We're moving there, and to prove it, Milky Way galaxy is a solar circular calendar, Mayan calendar shaped, zodiac calendar, Chinese calendar shaped disk. And the sun and the earth is revolving, and it's moving towards center. It's moving towards center. Now, what's happening is the Lord has chosen people to help you travel to center and erase fear. Because eventually everything's going to come together as one in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. A lot of scientists, and of course the dark side, is going to tell you it's a black hole of death. No, it's not. It is a union of consciousness to where all the planets, suns, water, animals, asteroids, planets, suns, everything comes together as one. And that is where God exists, oneness. So we have to shift the earth and the planet and the consciousness of humanity, animals, and everything that exists on this world. We're in control of the animals. Look at your dog. The dog wants to be like you. It lives its whole life wanting to be like you because it wants to evolve to a higher conscience. If you look at the birth of humanity, you see we start off looking like a fish within the womb of a mother. Within the first week, we look like a fish. We have gills. We breathe water all the way until we're born. So this is reality. Yes, we breathe water. We breathe what's inside. That's why the woman's water breaks, because that's why once the water breaks, you've got to deliver the baby. It needs to breathe. It's ready to breathe a lower molecular structure of water, which air is water. You have to understand something. There's a lot of water in the air. Now, another thing that the chemtrails are doing are reducing the water in the air, the oxygen level, so it's reducing intelligence and consciousness. It's not going to do any good. People are still going to shift. No matter what, the closer you move, what they're doing is they're prolonging their death. Now, if you want to follow a political party or news media, president, religion, you just keep following it. That is not going to take you to consciousness. It never will. And I believe that everything on the planet is going to eventually shift to consciousness. You're choosing a path that separates you from God. It's going to be sad because you're going to go there anyway. You know, I don't believe in all this heaven and hell and fire and brimstone. I just believe that everything that's on the planet will eventually deliver to consciousness. The people that are on this planet, this evil matrix, they want to stay in power and control for as long as they can. That's all it is. That's what religion is. To stay in power and control for as long as they can. But they're going to lose that power. And a lot of you people that are following religion are going to the Messiah. Jesus is going to come down and he's going to destroy the temple. Yes, sinning separates you from God in eternity. It absolutely does. But eventually you will travel to center. I don't predict what God does. Maybe he just might take you out into dark matter and dark space. I'm humble to the wisdom of God. It's so much more clear than I am. Now, if you choose to listen to me and listen to my words, all you're doing is listening to a person who's trying to journey towards God, and he's trying to share his journey. That's all I'm doing. I'm not dictating. I'm not telling you what to do. As you understand your real self and you start understanding the constellation that you were born, then you'll understand who you are and what your task here and your journey here is on life, because all the journeys are going to come together as one, and we're all going to learn and share. In other words, I'm going to be an expert in one field, and you're going to be an expert in another field. You're going to be an expert in another, kind of like the corporate world, but I hate to say corporate world, but the corporate world separates and fights and battles each other. We're not going to do that. We're going to have our corporations, so to speak, our constellations, and then we're going to come together as one godlike conscience, or one corporation. Now, they want to come together as one corporation of dictatorship. They call it the New World Order. Now, let me get back to evolution. First, you're a fish. Then all of a sudden, you're a reptile. You actually even have reptilian skin here. You even have a tail when you're inside the mother's womb. Then you evolve to a mammal. When you're at a certain trimester, I believe it's 8 weeks or so, you can't tell the difference between a pig, a dog, or a human. You all look exactly the same. There's no difference. Whether you're inside of a dog or the inside of a human, everything that you've been taught in your life has to be unlearned. It's the opposite of reality. It's the upside down. You did not come from pond scum. You evolved through the cycle, consciousness, and God. God chose you to evolve and to travel to the center based on your zodiac star constellation time shift. They're older souls on this planet than you are. May the light awaken you.